Hi everyone, Scott here with the continuing series on my, my continuing series on the films of 1973. I'm talking this video about the musical Jesus Christ Superstar, which was a Broadway show by Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber. They're the guys behind the Phantom of the Opera musical, and was turned into a film by director Norman Jewison, who is responsible for the Denzel Washington movie The Hurricane, Moonstruck with Cher and Nicolas Cage, Agnes of God, Rollerball, the original Rollerball with James Caan, and Justice for All, Al Pacino courtroom drama, the original Thomas Crown Affair with Steve McQueen, The Cincinnati Kid, and In the Heat of the Night. Long resume of very fine pictures there. This was, as I said, adapted from the musical, and there's a couple of cast members actually that are in the film that played their parts. Not only in the Broadway production, but also on the original album recording. There was a recording of the soundtrack basically to sell in record stores, and then some of the cast members became regular members of the troupe. But I wanted to sort of focus a little bit on some of the actors here. As far as the story goes, it's pretty straightforward. It's in sort of the last days of Jesus Christ before his crucifixion. You have his disagreements with the money changers at the temple, and you have Mary Magdalene involved there, and then you have the Last Supper, and Judas selling him out to the Romans, and then the crucifixion and all that stuff. Pretty straightforward telling of Jesus' story, only with songs, obviously. Some of the actors that, most of the actors I really didn't recognize in this film. I looked up a few of them to see who they were. The one that really stood out to me was the guy who plays Herod. He really only has one scene, but he's got a great little number. It's really fun. For those of you, the musical obviously doesn't really have, it doesn't sound much like hymns. It was written in the 60s, and there's a lot of really sort of 60s period wear in the film. You know, a lot of costumes straight out of the 60s, even though it was actually shot in, Israel, I think. So anyway, Josh Mostel, who, as far as I know, is not related to Zero Mostel, played King Herod, and his big number is called Try It and See. That's a really fun number. I recognized him from somewhere, I couldn't remember, but I looked him up, and as it turns out, he was in Wall Street, playing one of Gordon Gekko's prime movers and shakers. You know, I remember the scene where she's in Gordon Gekko's office, and he's talking about some big, awesome purchase they just made, and Michael Douglas is like, the Terminator, blow him away alley. I'm like, oh, I remember that guy. He was also in City Slickers, Little Man Tate, and he played the principal in Billy Madison. The other actor was Yvonne Elliman, who played Mary Magdalene, and she kind of looks like a Native American. I'm not really sure what her nationality is, but her voice made her sound a lot like Anita Baker. She's not Anita Baker, but she did actually go on to make records and had a hit single in the song If I Can't Have You. If I can't have you, I don't want nobody, baby. Yeah, so that's she's got a really great voice, and her big number in this, she's got a number of good numbers, but her big solo number is I Don't Know How to Love Him, which is a good song where she's fighting over her, interest in Jesus as her savior, but also he's an attractive man at the same time. It's a little confusing for her. Really nice voice. Pilate is played by Barry Dennan, and he and Yvonne Elliman were the only two people, according to what I've read, that were in the film that also did the original recording on the LP for the soundtrack, and they became a part of the show as well. He was in Fiddler on the Roof, which was also a musical directed by Norman Jewison. He played Hitler in the Wonder Woman television series. He was also in The Shining by Stanley Kubrick and Superman 3. I'm not really sure which characters he played. Oh, he played a scientist in Superman 3. And in The Shining, he played the guy who's interviewing Jack Nicholson along with the manager of the hotel in the beginning of the film. He also did a lot of TV and he's also done a lot of work on TV and voices for video games. That's kind of interesting. Jesus was played by a guy named Ted Neeley. He actually came out of retirement to have a small role in Django Unchained, Quentin Tarantino movie. He was in the Starsky and Hutch television series, and apparently he got a Golden Turkey Award for his work as Jesus. They voted him the worst person to ever play Jesus. But he also got a Golden Globe nomination, so maybe that balances out. And then you've got Carl Anderson, who played Judas. Most of his credits I'm not really familiar with, but he did appear in the Steven Spielberg film The Color Purple. This was an all-right movie, not terribly compelling for me. It was okay, it's a well-made movie, and a lot of the music is good. But as I said, it doesn't really do a whole lot with the story of Jesus, other than just basically tell it the straightforward, usual way with all the key plot points, but of course with songs. And some of those songs are really good. Yeah, not a movie that I hold in really, really high regard. There's plenty of better musicals out there, I think. I suppose we could put that down to the guys who wrote the musical in the first place rather than the director, because he's just basically following their playbook, I suppose. So anyway, that's Jesus Christ Superstar. I'll have more 1973 movie videos on the way. Thank you very much for watching again.